Thanks for showing up here for this opportunity to connect with some of our great alumni. And a special welcome and thank you to our alumni mentors. I also want to thank our event team for organizing today's event, making sure that I know what to say and when to say it and when to turn my camera on and when to turn my microphone on. So much appreciation to everybody who's put in a lot of hard work in getting this event organized today. These events are just one of the many ways that the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies is working to help our students plan for the future. Students, I want you to realize that not all that long ago, our mentors were just like you. They were taking some of the same courses and maybe even with some of the same professors. And now they've gone off into some pretty exciting and extraordinary careers. And this is an opportunity for you to ask them questions, to make connections, to learn about potential career paths for yourselves, and also to relax, have fun, and get to know what is a growing network of alumni who you will join one day after graduation. Finally, because this is a Zoom event, we don't have an opportunity to linger and chat after the session the way we would if we were gathered in person. So these events tend to end rather abruptly. So because I won't have a chance to say this at the end, I just want to take an opportunity to thank our generous mentors again for taking the time to invest in our students. So thank you so much for doing that. So I'd like to start this evening now by inviting Hasnain Versi to chat with me for a little bit here. Hasnain's one of our alumni mentors, and he's the president and CEO of ISM Canada. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Business from the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies, in addition to a CPA designation. Welcome, Hasnain.
Thanks, Sean. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. So
why don't we start just with a little bit of background about your time at York University.
Okay. First off, I apologize. I couldn't put on my York University hoodie. I tried it on just before the interview and recognized how much weight I've gained in the last 26 years. So that didn't quite work out. But look, so from a background perspective, like I joined York University as an international student. I came, I did my high school in Tanzania, and thereafter came to York University. Spent 4 years there. I practically lived on campus for 4 years. I was affiliated with Stong College for 2 years, and then with Bethune College for 2 years, and did my degree in business and economics. So from a background and perspective, education perspective, that was it. And you know, after I graduated, I kind of embarked on a career in finance, and then that led to this where I am today, which is more of a career in technology.
So that's where I wanted to go next then, of course, is to try and understand what your career journey was like from graduation to your position now with ISM Canada. I assume you didn't graduate and then the next day you started working at ISM.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, right? So I kind of, when I talk to a lot of mentees, I kind of say, you know, everyone, at least when I look at my young self a few decades ago, I would say we all think, well, careers are kind of planned. I want to do this job and I want to do that job, and it'll lead to the third job, right? And the way people get to, and you know, you will have the pleasure of talking to a whole bunch of my peers here, other mentors, and I think one of the things that we have similarities in is we all got to our roles very differently. So there isn't one path in which anyone can tell you, you know, do these three things to take you there, right? So I'd never envisioned, when I was doing my degree in business, I'd never envisioned that I would actually end up leading a technology company. But as I graduated, as I got my first job that involved, that was a TD Bank. My first job out of university was supporting TD UK back office. I used to start work at 4 a.m., which was about 8:30 or 9 o'clock UK time, and finish work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was really my first job out of university, York University. And then thereafter, I got an opportunity to join IBM as a financial analyst. That's where my career started, right? But I joined a technology company that kind of evolved into the interest I had in digital transformation and technology. But my career started long ago in finance. So really there isn't one path. Different experiences take you to where you want to, and interest as well. You may think you enjoy something, but when you actually go into the real world and start doing that, it may not give you that immense pleasure that you think you would have felt out of that job. And therefore you experiment with different things, and you land somewhere where it's a job that you enjoy. And that's one thing that the advice I would give folks on the call here, and I'm sure my fellow colleagues here, my other mentors would agree, is make sure you're doing something that you enjoy doing at the end of the day, not something that's hip, has good compensation. Those things are important, but at the end of the day, if you're going to do it for 35, 40 years, it's got to be that something you're enjoying, you're passionate, you're waking up every night with fire in your belly. I can't wait to go to work and do this. I'm exaggerating, obviously. No one wakes up with that energy, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you raise an important point about that kind of unpredictable path to some extent. But I imagine there were opportunities that emerged at each place that you ended up where you could kind of learn something new and then see what a potential future path would look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I would say, your managers and your mentors at your work and externally play a very critical role in those experiences that you get. You always want to work for teams, companies, managers that actually offer you that experience to do different things, that push you beyond your comfort zone. And I would say, I was very blessed very early on in my career to have opportunities to work for some very amazing leaders that helped me do that gave me opportunities to experience different fields within finance, to help me experience sales, would take me on technology sales calls with them. I learned a lot from just being an observer and many times, and I was blessed to have those opportunities. And I think that's one of the critical things as we start our careers, to make sure we're surrounding ourselves with managers that give us that breadth that we want. And then more importantly, we have to be interested in that breadth. And everyone has a different appetite for this. Everyone is content in their own way. But if you're one of those individuals that is never content in one place, you're always going to be doing different things, then you have to surround yourself with peers, leaders, mentors, managers that will give you that opportunity to fail and learn. And that was critical for me personally, to have some of those managers and mentors that helped me along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like, networking and mentorship was a pretty key part of your career path. Were there any aspects of being an international student at the early stages of your career that had an impact on your ability to network or find mentors?
Yeah, so I mean, we when I graduated, we weren't in the digital world, right? So networking wasn't as easier as it is today. So I would say, and I'm going to be a little vulnerable here, but as an individual, those that know me would say I'm an introvert as an individual. So networking does not come very naturally to me. It's something that I always have to put conscious effort into networking. And obviously I've become better at it over time, but that's because of coaching and constant feedback and being very conscious of this is a very, very good skill to have in our toolkits, right? So as an international student, I was always envious of some of my friends that were here that had an opportunity either because they grew up here, they went to high school here, they had a better forum for network. And I took advantage of that, right? I would take advantage of my friends that had a bigger network to make sure, they would introduce me to their network. But I think, I keep, when I talk to some folks, I say, three important things when you're building a career or when you want a specific job or you're kind of gravitating towards something is, one is everyone has a different path, but three important things is, one is you have to be the right person at the right time. You may not agree with this, but I really believe, sometimes it may be a great opportunity. You may think you are the absolute best person for that role, but it's just not the right time for you. Maybe you're a different point in your career, family life. Maybe, you've just started a new job. So timing is critical, right? The second thing I would say is education and knowledge base, right? It's obviously important to have the background for the roles that you want to strive for, right? And then the third thing is networking, right? Which is critical, right? So those three things that I would probably put, rightfully or wrongfully, I would probably put between networking. I would probably put the most weight of those three in networking, right? To make sure that you're networking. And these are great forums. I wish we had forums like this when I was in school, but these are fantastic forums to actually know people that are in the industry that have gotten there differently, and to make sure we're keeping, if possible, you keep connected to those individuals via many means that are available. And people today are a lot more accessible via social media and other forums. So it's very critical to do this. And in my opinion, I didn't do it a lot when I was in school. I wish that's one of the things I would have done a lot of. And I would strongly encourage, the students that are here to take full advantage of the folks that are here to make sure that you ask the right questions, you network, and you keep in touch.
Yeah, and I'm really pleased to see the students who are here today, because you're right, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to kind of have a head start on building your networks as a professional. Now, the students who are joining us today come from our information technology program. And as a leader in that sector, they might be interested in knowing, at least from your view, what some of the skills or attributes that you look for in new graduates who are seeking careers in the IT space.
Yeah, so it's great. One of the things I'll tell you, and I'm not sure if students have a combination of IT and business, but if they do, I think that's like a very dynamic combination that's really sought after in the industry, to have the combination of those two characteristics. But from a skills perspective, look, IT is an evolving, very, very fast-paced evolving skill, right? So you always, I would always say, you always want to be looking for, how do you differentiate yourself in the industry? And today there is, besides school, like academics is very important. Making sure, you're keeping your grades up. I will, as much as we say, sometimes, and this is going to come off wrong, so I got to pick my words properly here, but sometimes, we throw around stuff like, grades may not be important. It's about university, but grades, when you apply for roles, grades do play a role. Now, whether or not different companies look at it differently, way differently, but I'm not going to completely undermine that. It is important to focus and make sure that you're achieving good grades. But besides that, I would say, do something that differentiates you, right? From a skills perspective, examples of today, cloud is very, very important. Digital transformation, very, very important, right? You look at all the major hyperscalers, talk about Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, others. They'll all offer students like free courses, free education. Take advantage of that. That will differentiate you as you go out into the real world, as you try and differentiate yourself. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of extracurricular activities within school. Again, to differentiate yourself from your peers. So those are a couple of things I would advise. Besides, core courses are important, but what is something else that gives you an edge in as clients look at digital transformation? And then, don't box. I would recommend not boxing yourself as I want a career in IT. It could mean, you may graduate as an IT student, a business IT student, but think of different careers that can lead you to. Think of careers in sales. You can do IT sales and really do well. When I was in school, that's one thing I didn't have visibility to. Hey, you can graduate and who thinks of a career in sales, in IT sales, right? Very few people. Who thinks of career in consulting? But these are paths. Like if you look at companies like Accenture, if you look at companies like IBM Consulting, and other firms as well, like these are careers that are not that are different from what they were 20 years ago. And our I think, and maybe it's different today, Sean, but when I was in school, I really didn't have that horizon of, hey, IT could lead to all these different careers. It just doesn't have to be, delivery, technical, engineering. I could be doing a whole breadth of things, having that background of IT that will elevate me and help me bring value to my company, my clients.
Yeah, this is great advice, especially that idea about breadth of opportunity for students coming out of an IT program. Because I think you're right, there might be one kind of track or a narrow track of opportunity. This is actually a lot broader, I think, if you start to think about the other areas that a graduate might end up going. Just before we close out the interview, I wonder if you could give students one piece of advice for how they might be able to make the most of this opportunity now in their networking session.
So I'll probably deviate from your guidance and give a few pieces of advice.
Okay.
So look, as I was thinking through this, like I would say a couple of things, right? So one is, learn from the different journeys of how people and individuals and mentors that you have in this firm, learn from how they got to those roles and appreciate the fact that everyone's journey is different. Have that confidence in yourself that your journey may be very different, and that's okay. The second thing is, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. There is, folks love to talk about their company, their careers, their peers. So ask questions. There's nothing like a silly question. We've all been in those situations some decades ago, so we understand the anxiety before you graduate, etc. So ask relevant questions. Take advantage of networking with this forum and others in the future as well. And then based on all these variables, map your career accordingly. It'll look different, but it will be very exciting, and pick something that you will enjoy doing and you'll be happy with. So I know you're going to tell me we have come to an end, but I can't end this interview, Sean, before actually putting in a plug for the company that I work for, which is ISM Canada. We are headquarters in Saskatchewan. And I would say one of the critical things, again, miss on my part when I was a student, is I was a York University student. I never looked for opportunities outside Ontario or outside Toronto for some reason. So, as you network and as you have flexibility, and while you're young, it's easier to do, look for opportunities outside. There'll probably be more fulfilling opportunities outside. Our company is based out of Saskatchewan. Look for opportunities in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, great province, lots of investment by the government in IT, mining, agriculture, energy. If you look at Globe and Mail's top 100 growing companies, you'll see 4 very large IT startups that are based out of Saskatchewan, and ISM is the largest IT company in Saskatchewan. So I encourage you to look at it from a countrywide perspective. Don't have a shallow lens, and it will widen the aperture of opportunities that you will have access to. So I'll put in that plug, Sean.
That's great. I mean, and it's really good advice too. You know, the opportunities go beyond the local for sure. So I do hope students take that into consideration. And as we're about to move into the networking session, you know, students should keep in mind that networking is important for our mentors as well. Like it gives them connection with the next generation of graduates who are coming into fields that they work in, and they want to meet you. They want to know who you are. So this is a really great opportunity. And Hasnain, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your story. This is a big part of networking, is listening to what the career paths were of people who came before us and trying to understand where we might go next with our own prospective futures.